Baseball season. That means it's time for a conversation with Kendall Rogers joining us on the Farm Bureau phone line. Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. We're going to get to some SEC stuff in just a second, but I want to start with Southern Miss, who finally, Kendall, they make it into the top 25, and they don't just ease into the top 25. They vault their way in all the way to number 18 after a series win last weekend against Louisiana Tech. And now a big-time midweek game playing Ole Miss in Pearl tonight.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, that's a really good team. And I kind of wrote this up in my column today, but I feel like this is an Omaha caliber club. If you look at the weekend rotation for Southern Miss right now, you're talking about a rotation with Hunter Riggins, Tanner Hall, Hurston Waldrop. Your best guys are Sunday guys. That's always a good sign. So you look at the job that he did over the weekend against a potent lineup, 11 Ks, 7 innings of shutout baseball. That is a really good rotation. And then when you look at the back end of the bullpen, they've got some really nice pieces there as well. So, I mean, I would like pretty much every aspect of the Southern Miss team. I think that Dallas Baptist series on the road was a little bit of an aberration. It was just, it was a sloppy weather. It was cold. Dallas Baptist is actually a good team. And I like what I see from this USM club. I think this is a club that will probably win enough to likely get strongly in the mix to be a host side. This would be a perfect spot for somebody like a Mississippi State to go to as a 2 or 3, and by the way, probably end up winning it.
We'll see. We have seen it play out that way a few years ago. So who knows? Yeah. I want to ask you about this. We are such a slave to rotation, and it matters. Mm-hmm. It matters a bunch. But pitching has been an issue for both Mississippi State and for Ole Miss this year. And we were debating yesterday, Cade Smith is probably the best arm that Mississippi State has at this point. And he's their Sunday starter and might be the best SEC Sunday starter in the league. Maybe. I mean, certainly you would have him in that conversation. So when you've got a guy like that that's an incredible anchor at the end of the weekend, but you've got question marks before you get to him, does it make more sense to push a guy like that forward in the rotation? Or do you like the idea of, no, I know what I've got on Sunday, and it gives me a great chance to win a series, salvage a game, maybe finish off a series sweep?
I will tell you what, I know exactly how Chris Lemonis needs to use Cade Smith, and that's exactly how Stanford uses Quinn Matthews. I just wrote about this today, but Quinn Matthews is Stanford's best left-handed pitcher. They know that. They've got some issues with their bullpen depth and their starting rotation. So what have they done? Over the weekend against top 5 Oregon State, Quinn Matthews threw 2 innings out of the bullpen on Friday. What does he do on Sunday? He comes back out of the bullpen and throws 7 innings and strikes out, I think, 8 or 9. So I actually love the way Stanford's using their most talented arm like that. Like, hey, if we need him on Friday to close the game out, we're using him. But you know what we're going to do is on Sunday, we're going to start with somebody else, see how far they can get us, and if we need him, we'll put him in there and see how long he can go. That's how I would use Cade Smith.
Well, and that also depends on kind of what the pitcher is capable of in terms of bouncing back, right?
Correct. It also differs from pitcher to pitcher.
Yeah. I guess part 2 of this would be Ole Miss. They completely reshuffle the air quotes rotation this weekend. They go Dylan DeLucia in the first game and then kind of piece it together. And after the fact, Mike Bianco said, I don't like calling it an opener because our plan is not just we're going one time through the order. We want a guy to go out and give max effort, give as much as they can, and then we'll have somebody ready. Is that the right answer for an Ole Miss staff that had not had a starter go 5 innings in a league game all year?
Well, this is a prime example of why I'm a writer and an analyst and not a head baseball coach, because I'll be honest with you, going to the weekend, and I'm surprised he hasn't given me grief about it because I think I said this on a podcast, but I really thought Ole Miss was pressing the panic button. I thought when I looked at the weekend rotation, I'm thinking, oh, God, we're in the middle of the season and we're pressing the panic button. And it turned out well. I mean, Dylan DeLucia went out there and put together an outstanding start against a really good Kentucky lineup. They were able to piece things together the rest of the weekend. Jack Washburn, who, he's a very talented arm. He's a guy that I could see kind of elevating himself. I could see him, eventually being a very consistent weekend guy. He's got really good stuff. And they, for the most part, they did a really, really nice job on the mound. So that was an encouraging weekend. Now, after that kind of a weekend, Richard, what I want to see is I want to see them do it this weekend and then do it next weekend. If that happens, specifically this weekend, then I'm starting to think, okay, maybe they've kind of figured things out a little bit. But I thought the way that Ole Miss played over the weekend with the kind of that killer mentality and that series finale, that was telling for me. That said a lot about this team and kind of their mindset.
Well, and I thought it was interesting. Mike Bianco didn't commit to going with the same starting guys this weekend. He said, we're going to look at the matchups and decide who gives us the best opportunity to win each game, and we'll kind of roll it out there, which is – I said this to Mike. I was like, this is different. 21 years, you've never done this. He's like, no, I've never done this. And so it's kind of a different mindset for Mike Bianco in addition to his pitchers.
Yeah, it's no doubt. It's a little unorthodox, but I remember another team in the state of Mississippi that played for a national championship that literally did bullpen days in the championship finals. So, I mean, there's different situations call for different approaches. And I think if you're Ole Miss, you're in a situation to where you as of last week do not have a consistent weekend starter. So you're going to have to get creative. And they got creative. It worked out for them last week. I'm sure they'll get creative again this weekend, and we'll see if it.
Kendall froze up on us, so hopefully we're still good there. Visiting with Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball, d1baseball.com. If you don't subscribe to that content, you're a college baseball fan, you are missing out. Did we lose him altogether, Borky? Are we good?
Working to get him back.
All right, so we'll try that again in just a second. I don't know if we've gotten Kendall back yet or not. I'm going to ask him if we're able to about Tennessee. I thought what Chris Lemonis said yesterday. Hey, Dad, I don't know if we talked specifically about this. Maybe we did.
We did.
Where he said Tennessee may be the best SEC team, or they're playing like the best SEC team we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're a prisoner of the moment when you say that. But when you step back, you're like, but is he wrong? Now, granted, it's only 3 weeks in.
You think about, I'm trying to think, like, what was the best SEC team of all time? Maybe that Vanderbilt team that lost to Louisville in the Super Regionals. Weren't they like 27-3 or something like that in the conference?
Yeah, let's hold that thought and we'll go to Kendall. Kendall, we were talking with Chris Lemonis yesterday, and he said that this Tennessee team is playing like the best SEC team ever. And I kind of hesitate because it's like, okay, it's 9 games in, and so we've got to use that as a caveat. And that feels like a little bit of a prisoner of the moment statement. But then the numbers and the performance are kind of backing it up.
Yeah, I tell you what, you mentioned Cade Smith is potentially the best Sunday starter in the SEC. I think Drew Beam might have something to say about that. At Tennessee, you're talking about a guy with a 0.88 ERA. I think teams are hitting like 80 against him, literally 80. I think when you look at Tennessee overall, 0.80, exactly. When you look at Tennessee overall, I mean, they're just such a deep offensive lineup. They've got an elite rotation. They've got one of the top 5 pitchers in college baseball as a Friday starter, as a freshman, by the way. And they've got bullpen depth. With that said, to go through the whole season without losing a series like Arkansas, that's so. I think they're better than Arkansas last year, but I don't think they win every series like Arkansas did.
Where would they trip up?
It's the SEC, man. They're going to fall. They're going to trip up somewhere. But you are right. If you look at the remaining schedule, you're looking at it going, where are they going to lose a series?
Yeah. All right. Give me an update on.
I think back to. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, give me an update on Stickergate and the fallout from that on Friday night with the sticker coming off the bat. Is there anything else?
There's not anything else. I mean, there's rumblings coming out of Nashville, but I mean, I think it's just typical rivalry stuff. But the thing about it is. And this goes beyond Tennessee. It happened with Auburn against A&M a couple of weeks ago, where they called a batter out that had some sticker issues and things like that. I just think from the NCAA's perspective, there needs to be a little more clarity on kind of what's going on here. If let's just say you're using a bat that's not approved, to me the penalty should be more than just being out. Like to me, the penalty should be like you're ejected. So I just think if you're the NCAA, there needs to be some clear rules and consequences on this stuff, because I mean, if you're a college baseball team and you're a really good offensive lineup and your most severe penalty is you're called out, I mean, trust me, there's teams out there that are willing to take that risk to not have that sticker be seen to send a guy to the plate with a hot bat. So I think the penalty on that needs to be more stiff.
I guess the only thing that I'm curious about at this point, and we're out of time on this, is shouldn't it be simple enough for a hitter to know whether his bat has a sticker on it or not?
No, I'm not believing. So number one, I don't think Tennessee's like blatantly cheating, but number two, I don't think for a second that stickers are falling off those bats. Like I've seen them on there. They're not falling off the bat. Like I've talked to coaches that said if you wanted to, this is even before this Tennessee thing. This was last year because it's something happened like this in the American, and the coach was saying you literally have to get like a razor blade with like a hot air dryer to get that thing off of there. It's not just falling off the bat during BP.
All right. Well, we'll see where this goes.
If Tennessee was doing any funny business, it won't happen again because I can tell you the SEC is going to watch that like a hawk moving